Hi again, 9th and 10th grade. Okay, so I wanted yesterday for you guys to kind of do some review with your action, your linking, and your helping verbs to try to help you. But today we're starting a new lesson, and that is distinguishing verbs from verbals. Now you're going to be like, Miss Savannah, English stinks. I hate English and I don't understand. It's okay. I'm here to help you. So what happens is a verbal is a word that looks like a verb, but it's actually doing another job. And some of you, your brains just totally like malfunctioned and shifted into reverse. Okay. Take a deep breath and let's talk about it. Yes. So a verbal is a word that does look like a verb, but it's actually doing another job. Now, verbals can do 3 jobs. They can act as a noun, which remember what a noun is: a person, a place, a thing, or an idea. They can act as an adjective. An adjective is a word that describes a noun, like my gray shirt. Gray is an adjective describing my noun, my shirt, and that's what an adjective does. And then they can also act as an adverb, which is a word that describes a verb, which is nice because it's right there in the name. Adverb describes verbs. Okay, so that makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so if you're still sitting there going, I don't understand, this is so confusing, I'm going to help you break it down. Now, the nice thing about this lesson is we're actually going to go more into verbals later on this quarter, but right now you only need to know how to tell the difference between a verbal and a verb. Okay, so both of you have your books out. I'm going to use 10th grade's book because I like the examples that they give in this book. Remember also, see these 4 big points right here and see all the information in there? Don't skip that. Read it. Some of you are more auditory learners, which means me explaining it to you is going to help you understand better. But some of you are more visual learners, or more if you see it, then it sticks in your head better. So visual, auditory, however you have to learn, it just helps you, whichever way helps you, hopefully by listening to my explanation and then also reading your points, which 9th grade, look, you have some too. Yay. Okay, so everybody has them in their books. Read it. Highlight what you feel is important, what you think will help you in this lesson. Here we go. Okay, so first thing you need to know about verbals, right here. A verbal is a form of a verb form. So it is going to look like a verb. It is going to look like one. It's not going to act as one. Remember what our verbs do. That's why we spent some extra time yesterday reviewing what verbs do. They're an action. So it's going to be something that you're actually doing. They are linking, which is linking the subject to another word in the sentence. Or they're simply a helping verb, helping those other verbs do their jobs, okay? So that's what a verb does. So if it's not doing any of those jobs, it's not a verb, even if it looks like one. All right, so think about think about the jelly beans in the that really gross game that everybody plays where you have 2 jelly beans and they look the same, but one is rotten egg and one is coconut, okay? So obviously for myself, I would rather have the coconut one unless you just hate coconut, all right? But they're both jelly beans. They both look the same, but when you taste them, they are completely different. That's exactly what this lesson is like. They're gonna look like verbs. You might even think they're acting like verbs, but they are not verbs, okay? So let's talk about it. Let's break it down. All right, so a good thing to remember, you can't see it. I'm pointing at it and you can't see it. All right. A good thing to remember is that a verb has a subject in the nominative case, which is a fancy word for saying a verb has a subject that's acting like a subject. It has a subject that is like we, that's nominative case, okay? Or he or she or something like that, okay? That's nominative case. That means that is the subject, okay? That's the important thing to remember about verbs. They have a subject. You guys have learned about subjects and verbs. We've diagrammed them. We've discussed them. It's a noun that is either doing the action or it is being linked to something else. So look for subjects. If there's no subject, then the word that you're looking at is not a noun. It's not a verb. It's being used as a verbal. Okay, lesson number 2. Let's look at the next point. All right, next 2, a participle. So there are 3 types of gerunds. There are participles, gerunds, and there are 3 types of verbals. So sorry, I got ahead of myself. There are 3 types of verbals. participles, gerunds, and infinitives. To me, infinitives are the easiest to find, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So a participle is used as an adjective. It modifies a noun or a pronoun. So it's going to, which by modify, they mean like it describes it. It gives you more information about it. So don't let the big words that are like, modifies, what does that mean? It describes it. It gives you more information about it. Present participles end in ing. Past participles end in d, ed, t, or en, which just means they change form just like verbs do. So verbals change form just like a verb. We're going to get into the verbs next week, so you don't have to worry about that quite so much, but just know that if it's a participle in the present tense, it's going to end in ing. Ending in ing is a huge hint that it's probably a verbal. All right, here we go. So, working rapidly, we completed the task in record time. All right, now most of you would have looked at working and been like, that's an action. Underline it twice, that's my verb. That's a verbal. There's no subject there. What's working? You'd be like, well, we's working, Miss Savannah. We working? Remember that it's going to make sense when you put it on a diagram or when you take it out of the context of the sentence. We working, that's not even close to being correct. Working rapidly, we completed the task in record time. We is your subject, completed is your verb. So you have a subject and you have a verb. And when you go and pull that out of the context of the sentence, we completed, it makes so much more sense. So what is working actually doing here? Well, it's describing we. It's telling what we're doing, but it's not working as a subject. It's not working as a verb. It's simply describing what we are doing. We working, or working is what we are doing. It's telling something about us. It's not finishing the sentence. We completed is our subject in verb. Okay, if your brain's a little confused, give it a second, look over the sentence. Read the sentence through a couple of times. Working rapidly, we completed the task in record time. Working rapidly is not your verb. It's not what you're doing. It's describing something about you. Okay, so think about it that way. All right. Deep breath. Let's go to the next part. All right, guys, a gerund is a verb used as a noun. So now you're going to have a verb. It looks like a verb, but it's working as a person, place, thing, or idea. Gerunds are also kind of easy to spot because they can be a subject. You could actually have what looks like a verb and it's really your subject. I know, I just totally blew your minds, but it is a possibility. You could do that. All right, nouns, like nouns, gerund can be used as subjects, direct objects, objects of the preposition, predicate nominatives, and appositives. The gerund ends in ing. So just like our participles, they end in ing, but they're doing a different job. So participles are adjectives, gerunds are nouns. You don't really have to know that as much this time. What you need to know is that they're not verbs. That's the most important thing, because what's our lesson? Our lesson is distinguishing distinguishing verbs from verbals. That's our lesson. So because that's our lesson, it's going to, that's what we need to know for this lesson. Later on, all of this stuff, gerunds, participles, infinitives, it'll be more interesting. It'll be more needful. Right now, you just need to know the difference and how to find them. So, a gerund. Jogging is a popular exercise. Guess what? Jogging is not your verb. Is your verb. So what does that make jogging? If is my verb, what's my subject? Jogging. Jogging is my subject. Is my verb. Jogging is, down here. Jogging is a popular exercise. I know. It's confusing. Welcome to the wonderful world of the English language. We really like to confuse people. So it does look like a verb, but it's acting as a subject. And in this case, we're not worried about what it looks like. We're worried about what job it's doing. And the job it's doing is the job of a noun. It's a subject. So that's what we mark it as. That's a gerund. So another big clue, remember, it ends in ing, probably not a verb, probably going to be a verbal, all right? But look closely at what job it's doing. So this is where you don't worry so much about what the word looks like. What is its job? What is it doing? Is it an adjective? Is it describing a noun or a pronoun? Is it a noun, like jogging? Jogging's your subject here. What is the job that this verb is doing? Or it looks like a verb. If it's not doing the work of a verb, then it's not a verb. I know, it's confusing, but you'll get it, I promise. All right, and then here at the bottom is my favorite kind of verbal, an infinitive. You know why I like infinitives the best? Because they always start with the word to. There will always be to at the beginning, and that is how you find an infinitive. That's my favorite one because it's one of the easiest to find. I can always find an infinitive. I'm like, to, I found it, okay? But it's to plus a verb form. So down here, to learn self-discipline is to conquer oneself. An infinitive is a verb form used as a noun, an adjective, or an adverb. So these can be used as three different things. They can be used as a person, place, thing, or idea. They can be used to describe a person, place, thing, or idea. Or they can be used to describe a verb, which can get super confusing when you're trying to figure out what's a verb and what's an infinitive. All right, so to learn self-discipline is to conquer oneself. To learn is used as the subject, and to conquer is used as the predicate nominative. So to learn self-discipline is your verb. Even though we've got all these to do this and to do that, those aren't your verbs. Those are verbals. They're trying to trick you. They're doing it on purpose because the English language can be cruel sometimes. So to learn self-discipline, to learn, that's your subject. Is your verb. To conquer. To learn is to conquer. That's your subject, your verb, and your predicate nominative, which is renaming your subject. We'll get more into predicate nominatives later, but they expect that you already know what a predicate nominative is. If you don't know what a predicate nominative is, okay, we will get to that later. Just know it's not the verb. What you have to know, what's most important for this lesson, know what's a verb and know what isn't. So I've explained it to you. Read over it yourself. Highlight things. Think about the examples that they give in the book. 9th grade, you have different examples, but you guys have the exact same examples. So yay, 9th grade. You guys have the exact same examples. Read over it, highlight it, help do as much as you can. Again, if you have a question, drop it in the comment section. Send me a message on Schoolworks or send me a message via text message. Also, don't feel shy about dropping a question in the comments. Don't feel like, oh, I'm going to be stupid or Miss Savannah's going to think I'm stupid if I question. No. Most of you have never even learned this before. And if you haven't, that's what we're here for, is to learn. Also, if you drop a question in the comments, maybe it's a question that somebody else had the same question and you just helped them, because then when I answer it, I can help you. So I hope that helps. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you later. Bye, guys.